Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to draft week. We have finally made it. Well, we're still a couple days away, but we're basically here. It's draft week. The boards are made, the visits are done, the people invited are heading to Green Bay. Who's going to be the guy hanging out in the green room until Friday, pissed off?
Jalen Milroe.
Yes. Who's going to be
done.
jumping up into the top 5 to try and grab a player? Because now, Aiden, everybody thought Genty was going to the Cowboys at 12. That died about a month ago. Everybody now is like, he's going to the Raiders at 6. Well, the Jaguars have entered the chat, and apparently they are all in on Genty at 5. And if I'm the Patriots, I am making them move up to 4 to get him. Otherwise, they'll say, well, now you're not getting Genty because somebody else is. The cards are dealt, and now it's time for the players to be picked, Aiden.
I'm so excited. I mentioned this last week, but it's painfully ironic. It's the worst draft position the Eagles have had, but it's the most excited I've ever been. It's an incredible draft. It almost works to our favor. You know, you think, oh, well, there's not that elite blue chip like crop, so it must not be fun. Well, no, that actually makes it way more fun. Because I feel like I think there are 32 different draft boards within the league, and I think there are 3,200 draft boards amongst analysts and fans, and every mock draft is going to end up being different than how the real draft goes, which that level of intrigue and suspense in this age of social media doesn't happen. So I think you're going to see players that go later than you think, players that you think go earlier than you think, trades that you didn't expect to happen. And it'll cause some moving and shaking, and I'm excited for that aspect of it.
And there's just, I think the beginning of this board is going to be crazy with the type of players, like you said, and there's a couple of those blue chip guys, and then it's like, okay, where are we going to go? And you and I last week when we did our first full round mock, it's like, okay, 9 Saints, Kellen Moore, offensive guy, Derek Carr's hurt. Quarterback makes perfect sense here. Is it Jackson Dart? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Well, now everything I'm reading and watching, it's like, nope, they're not probably going to take a quarterback at 9. And don't be surprised if they take Jalen Walker, which it's like, okay, now we're just going to go to the complete opposite side of the ball.
Yeah, then they're like, oh, we'll just take one of the best defensive players. The quarterback, best defensive player. Okay, sure. I also, beyond that, I think Friday is going to be insane because I think there's a lot of guys who might go in the first round that don't have first round grades, and I think the difference between player 27 and 57 is very slim. So like I said, everyone's going to have a different draft board. It could cause some chaos where teams either overthink it or get extra aggressive, making sure they get their guy, and maybe 3 other teams want that guy, maybe no teams want that guy. And again, I think that makes it very interesting when everybody has a different opinion.
Agreed. And speaking of Jalen Walker, Aiden, I would not be surprised if he is there at 12 as a fallback guy, that he becomes a Dallas Cowboy too. Put him on the other side of Micah. Whoo, boy. And then Overshown comes back. It could be a lot of fun. But this team needs yards. This team needs touchdowns. So, speaking of all these mocks, and this one's different from that one, and this big board's different from this one, we are going to do right now, right here. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page, Birds vs. Boys. Right now, right here, we are going to do a 3-round mock draft. I will be choosing for the Dallas Cowboys. Aiden will be choosing for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the first time this draft season we've done this together. We wanted to kind of wait to the end when things paired out, but we're going to throw the mock draft simulator up on the screen, and we're going to walk through these picks, Aiden.
If you enjoy this, make sure to subscribe to my Substack because I'm doing 4-round mock drafts every day. And this week I might just do the full 7.
Why not? Why not? Wish I knew what a Substack was. All right.
I tried to get you on this. I feel like you would have loved it.
I'm old. I know. I need to. Aiden, I put out a tweet this morning, the things now that I'm old that my teenage self would make fun of. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but it involved waking up early and enjoying waking up early, drinking my coffee black, backing into parking spaces. I do that now, and falling asleep on the couch and saying I'm just resting my eyes.
The backing into parking spaces may be the end of this podcast. Maybe the end of this friendship, this podcast, everything.
I don't always do it. Just in times of when I feel like I don't feel like dealing with backing out. But that's how old I am. All right. I knew you'd like that one. That's why I threw it in there.
Ugh.
All right, Aiden, as you can see here on the mock draft simulator, 3 rounds selected. We always pick fast because there's no reason to be a turtle. Cowboys selected as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's enter the draft room, shall we?
Let's
Cam
do it.
Ward off the block.
Ooh, that got crazy in a hurry. Your Jalen Walker dream died quickly.
Right in front of me. Are we no trades here?
No trades. Yeah, I might drop one this week. Just that did look like a good one.
That. And I would definitely accept that. Then
Definitely.
the Cowboys will be picking at 17, 44, and 49. Yes, please.
That's a whole. Bengals are getting aggressive on that little trade proposal.
Yeah. I wonder who they be coming up. They're coming up for Tetairoa McMillan so they can add another wide receiver because they haven't paid any.
Why not? They need a Mecca Buka in the slot.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Let's reject.
Reject out. Wow, there's a lot of proposals. You got a lot of trade proposals at 12.
So Cam, Abdul, Travis, Membu, Warren, Genty made it all the way to 9, huh? I don't know about that. Banks and Jalen Walker. Okay. So just like we did last week, both of the wide receivers are there, Aiden. I think Mike Green would be in the conversation. Unfortunately, but I really hope he's not. I think Shamar Stewart would be in the conversation. And you never know. That war room might get a little quiet and Jared would be, everybody, that Sanders boy sitting up there on that board still right now. And then somebody would put a bag over his head and quickly run him out of the room and unplug his phone and stomp on his cell phone and put the pick in for somebody else. Or somebody moved up and they got a bunch of picks to pick up Shedeur. But I do not think or hope or want anything to do with Shedeur. I think for me, Aiden, we've talked about this. I would be going Tetairoa McMillan here, wide receiver out of Arizona. I think you could also go Matthew Golden. But I think McMillan is an all-around prospect. He's got the size, he's got the route running ability, and he is a guy that goes up and gets the football. His catch radius is the earth. And I think that helps out a guy like Dak Prescott more than a guy that is a 4.29 guy, because I don't know if Dak's going to get the ball to the 4.29 guy consistently over the top. I think this is a great compilation with CeeDee Lamb and with the other receivers that they have on this team. This is the guy. They like big receivers. They know how to use them. I think Tet is the pick here, Aiden, if he is there.
I think that's a sprint up car situation, given how the board played out. Jalen Walker off the board at 11. You mentioned him. Genty feels unrealistic. He got somewhat close at pick 9, but the other names of appeal are not there. It makes the decision even easier. Position of need, talented player, probably the best in his position group, and just good value overall at pick 12.
So Tet is the pick at 12 for the Cowboys.
All right. Now, whoa, flying through. All right. Well, before I do my pick, we'll recap everybody who's watching or listening. Thank you so much for that. Well, there's one that came off the board here that is very interesting. Let's touch on that. I'll ignore all my trade proposals for now. I promise I'll do one with trades here before draft day. The board falling this way is not that unrealistic. The Giants traded ahead of the Eagles to get Jackson Dart at pick 31. I think the Eagles could definitely be in that group of people that could be trading out of round 1 if a team wants to come into the back end of round 1 to get one of the quarterbacks, whether it be Shedeur, Jackson Dart. So he goes 31 instead of, I guess, the Chiefs. The Chiefs traded up to 29 in this. And then that means the Ravens, the Commanders traded back to 31 and then traded back again. Interesting move there for the Commanders to trade back twice. It does seem like they got a haul. And
interesting.
So that is very, very interesting. And they will trade with their division rival here, it appears, for them to get their quarterback of the future. Just to go over some here, Colston Loveland goes to the Dolphins. I don't know if he'll go to the Dolphins, but everything we're hearing sounds like he'd be top 15 in both tight ends. Will be off the board quite quickly. Matthew Golden then goes to the Colts. That's another name that we threw around for the Cowboys. He's a very interesting one because we've heard from Peter Schrager today, but we've heard it all draft season that teams love Emeka Egbuka in terms of locker room presence. Does that overweigh Golden's ability on the field? And I promise I'm not going in order, but Mike Green then goes to the Falcons. Anybody on defense would be great for them. So that's an interesting one. Derek Harmon off the board at 20 to the Broncos. I think that makes a lot of sense. Shador goes to the Seahawks. So that's an interesting one. Jahad Campbell feels like a great Green Bay Packer. Jahdae Barron falls all the way to 21. I think if he falls, that could be a name that the Eagles try to target. If he's there around 24, 25, be on the lookout for that one. Malachi Starks is a popular name for a lot of Eagles fans because he's a Georgia player and at a position of need in safety. He goes off the board to the Lions, which is interesting. Tyleik Williams is off the board at 30. Walter Nolan off the board at 29, and James Pierce Jr. off the board at 27. So that's kind of a disaster.
Pretty much.
There's like 4 or 5 names that the Eagles would target that are right there off the board right in front of them. So here are some names remaining that would be interesting for them that I think that they would like. Donovan Ozaraku, the edge rusher from Boston College. Donovan Jackson, the guard from Ohio State. Are my corners there? Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan, another one. Interesting. Trey Amos is the 47th pick player here. Mason Taylor is 44. This, again, I cannot stress this enough in every video and every content that I put out from here on out. These do not match. The mock drafts don't necessarily match real life. I think Mason Taylor would not be there at 44. I don't think Trey Amos is going to be there at 47. I don't think Trey Harris, the Ole Miss wide receiver, I'm not taking him, but I don't think he's going to be there at 43. Can you check and see if Maxwell Hairston is on the board? I think that's who I'm going to take.
Here he is.
Jeez, 50. Yeah, okay.
58.
58, yeah. Sure thing. All right, so Maxwell Hairston, who has accepted an invite to the draft, I don't think is going to be the 58th player off the board. I am going to go ahead and take him, and the Eagles get a corner. I cannot get over his speed. I think his break on the ball is incredible. I like the way he stays stride for stride with receivers. He's a willing tackler. He is a willing blitzer. His athletic score is off the charts. He was top 3 in the 40, in the broad jump, in the vertical, in the 3-cone, everything. You name it, he was. I think they preach athleticism. I think corner is an underrated position of need. I'm taking Maxwell Hairston.
It's a great pick. Great pick at 32. All righty.
The Bengals just want to trade with you so bad.
They're just trying everything. All right, let's see here. Oh, Xavier Watts right in front of me. And look at the run on safety here. I think Kevin Winston Jr. is the most underrated player in this draft, Aiden. I know the injuries hurt him, but his tape from the year is on. Wow, Egbuka at 37 is unbelievable.
Yeah, he would have been round 1, not round 1, but definitely round 2 for sure if it weren't for the injury. So,
yep. All right, let's see here for the Cowboys. JTT off the board. So I went wide receiver, obviously, with my first pick. Let's go all here. Okay, we've talked about this being realistic and not. If Omarion Hampton is sitting there at 44, I'm going to take him. I don't think that's going to happen, Aiden.
Yeah. I mean, the way the board fell this time, maybe.
But I'm going to keep this a little more realistic. So I'm not going to take Omarion Hampton just for that reason. Now, if
a little asterisk there.
I am going to caveat that with, if the Cowboys take Tetairoa McMillan at 12 and Omarion Hampton falls at 44, we're throwing a pizza party. Like, you have just reshaped your offense. And you're going to be able to do the things that Brian Schottenheimer is going to want to do. So I'm in on that. I would also be in on Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, at 44. So there's a couple other guys here. I mean, Kenneth Grant, obviously they need one tech help, right? I would be in on him. Benjamin Morrison, I'm a Notre Dame guy. I think without the hip injuries, he's top 2 cornerback in this draft. It's just, can you take a guy with hip injuries and multiple hip injuries at 44? Cowboys, Blue Star Special, probably. It wouldn't surprise me. But there is somebody here, Aiden, on this board that I see right here that I think would be a good fit with the Cowboys. I think I have heard that the Cowboys like him. There's interest. And I think he is non-injured Sean Lee. And that's Carson Swessinger, the linebacker from UCLA. I love him. They need linebacker help. They need a linebacker like this on defense. They don't have it currently. I think he would be such an upgrade. And then you bring Overshone back once he's healthy, and you let him do what he does, and it's basically just a rover, get all over the field. I think Swessinger will be that field general for them. And I think he'll play a decade in this league and just be Mr. Dependable. So I'm going to take Carson Swessinger, linebacker from UCLA, at 44.
I like that pick. The board, the way that fell in front of you, man, that's some talented people. I keep saying it. I like the 40s better than the 20s. Look at that. Donovan Ezeraku, Kevin Winston Jr., Xavier Watts, Donovan Jackson. If you get one of those guys in the 40, you feel good. I think the Cowboys feel good about their pick there as well at 100%. Pick 44.
And again, this would be hard to trade away from, like Trey Amos. There's a lot of guys there. Henderson. I just like Swessinger. I think I'm going to say, I think that is a very realistic Cowboys pick. So that's where
I was looking at the board. Oh boy. Oh no. Dream died. I just saw my dream die. Oh boy. All right. I will, I'll do, like I keep, oh God, that stings.
Kenneth Grant at 60.
I want to die. The 2 people that I was going to take, Braden Swinson, the edge rusher from LSU, was going to be my pick because everyone has also caught on to Femi Oladejo, my other pick. He was a 3rd, 4th round guy who's now getting round 1 buzz. So that sucks, to be totally honest with you. God. And then I was like, well, now I like Braden Swinson. And now he has a bunch of buzz. Everyone stay away from my stash.
Wow, there's a lot of value in this board.
Oh boy. All
right. Late. Awesome. Hey, at Trey Amos at 55. Wow.
Yeah. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have taken Maxwell Hairston.
I love Makuba too.
Do a favor for me. It's on your screen, so I gotta my screen's a little tiny. I'm gonna take a scroll for me while I look for some guys. I'll say this: there's one that I would take that might. I'll ask your opinion. It might be unrealistic, but the offensive tackle from Minnesota, I don't think in any reasonable circumstance gets to 64. I think if he did, the Eagles would take him, but I was not expecting to see that name there. I'll leave it up to you if that's a reasonable selection or not.
I don't think he'll be there, but that's a very Eagles selection if he is.
I do. All right. I was disappointed to lose out on Braden Swinson and Femi Oladejo. And I should mention the Chiefs get the replacement for Travis Kelce and Harold Fannin Jr. before our pick. It would be, and TJ Sanders is a guy that met with the Eagles, so I know that there is some interest. The Chiefs getting Fannin Jr. and him just becoming, they did a video on him on Daniel Jeremiah's show, and they called him Baby Gates. Like baby Antonio Gates. If the Chiefs replace Travis Kelce with baby Antonio Gates, we have nothing. We have nobody to blame but ourselves as the 31 other teams.
100%.
But I've got my pick here. I'm going to go with Darius Alexander, the defensive tackle from Toledo. Pair him up with his boy Quinyon Mitchell. So Darius Alexander, another guy, I think this would be incredible value at pick 64, a guy who's pretty solidly in the 40s, where he's got a lot of good traits there at the defensive tackle position. You can see here really high RAS score. which is, again, something that the Eagles pay attention to quite a bit. He would fill the role of Milton Williams, or Ajomo fills the role of Milton Williams, and then Darius Alexander fills the role of Miro Ajomo, whatever you want to call it. And he can play just a variety of different ways. I think he can be a 3-down defensive tackle in the NFL. So I think that is incredible value at pick 64, and I would love it.
Great pick. Great pick. Where do you go? Darius Alexander.
Well,
all right, Aiden, I'm hunting running backs.
With this simulator, like, I evened out. They thought Maxwell Hairston I drafted too high, and they thought Darius Alexander got drafted too low. So now I'm just like, I took two players who should have went 40 and 50, and I took them at 32-64, and that's just going to be every single person.
I just lost both of my Ohio State running backs. Quinton Junkins is gone. Henderson to the Bears. Whew. All right.
Off the board. Jonas Sanker at pick 74. Flying up the board. Like him. I like all the safeties, by the way. I have a love list of safeties that extends pretty far.
All right. Let's check running backs here.
Will Howard.
So
I see one.
I see two that I like. And it's not Scattaboo. Are you talking Scattaboo?
Yep.
Yeah. You like his game?
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like the Office episode where they asked Jim, and he was like, I didn't say it was a good idea. I said it was a fun idea.
I don't know how much he translates. But there's two guys that, again, I'm going realistic here, not with the rankings of Pro Football and Sports Network. What is realistic in the third round for the Dallas Cowboys at running back if they do not take one at 12 or at 44? And Brian brought us this morning on Trust the Tape with Jeff Kavanaugh, said, do not write the Cowboys picking a running back in pen at 44. So he's got a lot of connections on the inside. That tells me they may wait a little bit, but my ask to them is don't wait past the third. Okay. Don't do what happened last year and there's a run and then you lose all your guys, because we've said it 1,000 times. I'm going to say it 1,001. This is a deep running back class, and a class that I feel like in 4 or 5 years, we're going to say, damn, there's still a lot of good running backs from that class in the league right now. So two that I think that are very realistic right here that will be there are Dylan Sampson and RJ Harvey. Harvey is just a juice monster, the running back from UCF. I think, you add him to that offense and boom, you have just speed, power. You've got everything. Dylan Sampson, I mean, same sort of thing all around. He had a little bit of a fumbling problem in the beginning of his career. Shored that up. 5'8", 200 pounds. I mean, I like them both. I really do. This would be a tough one if they were both on the board. Let me see. Oh, who'd I pick? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Who'd you take?
I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
That's okay. Let's see who we got. So I love RJ Harvey, running back UCF.
If you accidentally take RJ Harvey, I feel like you're pretty content with life.
I am good with that. That's
funny.
I was leaning maybe a tad bit towards the running back from Tennessee, but no, I love RJ Harvey. I think he's something that they don't have. And I think, once again, like I said, it's a very realistic pick for the Dallas Cowboys. I think going wide receiver, linebacker, running back in that order, the first 3 picks, we could absolutely see that happen.
One thing on running backs, it's shocking to see how far Ollie Gordon has fallen over the course of a year. Elijah Arroyo. So back to our draft. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami, just went one pick ahead of us at Washington.
Yep.
Talking about Eagles and potential moving and shaking. Dallas Goedert. I feel like I'm in my final 72 hours of him being on the team. And I won't even rule out them trading Bryce Huff as well. If they somehow do that, they would then be up to 21 picks over this year and next year. At
Wild.
that point, though, they really, it's not even a matter of having a good tight end on the roster. They wouldn't have a tight end on the roster. They're almost forced to take one. So they've met with Arroyo. I think they really like him. Mason Taylor was another name that they really liked. Harold Fana Jr., who I mentioned, Baby Gates.
Yep.
Give me anybody who's getting compared to Antonio Gates like that. All those guys off the board. So I'll kind of keep this one simple for us. If you could go to edge rusher, I think there's a 2 or 3 names potentially left. I see one of them. So I just want to take a look real quick before I do and go over a few of these. Jack Sawyer has fallen, which truthfully, that does make a lot of sense. We touched on him before. I'm all about the championship pedigree guys. I just think he's a game geared towards collegiate football and playing football in Ohio.
Yep. I don't think I could pull the trigger, but yes.
Yeah. I'll go with Josiah Stewart, the edge rusher from Michigan. If we want to pull him up really quickly. Okay. So Josiah Stewart, edge rusher, Michigan, off the board. I do think they are going to address this. It's a very deep defensive tackle and edge rusher course of players. If you can get a defensive tackle of the caliber of Darius Alexander at pick 64 and address that need, and a caliber player of Josiah Stewart from Michigan in the 3rd round, I think that's a good area for him. I feel like you're feeling pretty solid coming out of this draft in terms of filling those needs and getting good value at those selections. And then with Maxwell Hairston, who I took in the 1st round, you kind of target 3 different positions. I touched on one thing earlier. Deep safety draft. You saw Kevin Winston Jr. off the board. I think there's going to be interest. Jalen Reed, the other safety from Penn State. Lathan Ransom, Billy Bowman, from Oklahoma. All these guys. Jonas Sanker. A lot of them were off the board. Let's get something reliable. Let's get a high motor edge rusher guy. Let's get him from a program where he helped win them a national title. And you see some of the traits, and it kind of sounds like Nolan Smith. I'm not saying they're the same player, but that high motor, relentless pursuit. How many times did you see Nolan Smith get sacks because he was endlessly pursuing the quarterback? I would add Josiah Stewart to that. I've seen him. The NFL Draft Exchange show does a really, really good job. They'd put out their final rankings this past week in different positions, and at edge they had Josiah Stewart in the top 10. To get him at the back end of round 3, I think is really good value.
Go get yourself a Taco Charlton.
But if you're doing it in round 3 and not pick 26, I feel better.
Ahead of TJ Watt, yes.
Yeah, that too. So I just need Jack Sawyer to not turn into TJ Watt.
All right. So we got Tetairoa McMillan, Carson Swessinger, RJ Harvey for the Dallas Cowboys. I go wide receiver, linebacker, running back.
I went full defense at different positions. Maxwell Hairston, the corner from Kentucky at pick 32. Darius Alexander, the defensive tackle from Toledo at pick 64. And at pick 96, I went Josiah Stewart, the edge rusher from Michigan. I am aware that this kind of ignores guard and tight end, but that's kind of just how the board fell this time around. And I'll say this, I've been doing mock drafts almost every single day. Not once have I gone defense. It just kind of shows we're at the mercy of the board, and we're at the mercy of other teams' rankings. I think what the Eagles will probably do is get aggressive in rounds 2 and 3 to make sure they get their guys, but I'm pretty content with the people that I got in this one.
Yep. As well as I am for the Dallas Cowboys. Aiden, it's always fun to hit these mock drafts, especially since we've been doing them for months over months. And now the real thing is just hours away. And now we can see how the boards really fall and how teams' rankings really are. And I can't believe that happened. And oh my God, they picked Penix. Where? And what happened? I can't wait.
Hey, and that's a good little exercise there too. Like I mentioned, never had the draft board fall that way before. We've been doing mock drafts for a month. First time it fell that way. So exciting stuff. We're not done. It's a big week. Let's keep it rolling.
And the way the board falls, I'm going to end with this of the old story. And I don't know if you know this. So the year the Cowboys picked Zach Martin, We all remember who the shiny toy was, right? Johnny Manziel.
Johnny
Everybody's like, he's sitting there. Jerry's going to do it. He's going to do it. And they did have a first-round grade on Johnny Manziel. However, their board was stacked. Do you know what player they were really wanting at that spot who was picked just ahead of them?
No, I don't remember, actually.
Ryan Shazier. That was going to be the pick for the Dallas Cowboys. He was taken off the board by the Steelers. Jerry was talking a little bit about Manziel, and luckily the cooler heads prevailed, and they said, Jerry, we're going by our stack. We're going by our board. Our next highest rated player, who we think is going to be a great player, is Zach Martin. We need to take him, and thank God they did.
That is a crazy domino effect right there on all three of those guys.
Yep. One is out of the league due to injury. One is out of the league due to himself, and the other has just left the league and is a sure ballot first round Hall of Famer because he had more All-Pro selections than he did holding penalties. That's all I'm going to say.
He's leaving the league with a one-way ticket to Canton.
Amen. All right, everybody. So Thursday night during the first round of the draft, Aiden and I will be live here on the Birds vs. Boys a YouTube channel. Make sure you tell your friends, tell your family, watch along with us. Enjoy the draft. We'll give analysis on every pick, especially leading up to 12 and 32. Or we're going to sit here the whole first round and the Eagles aren't going to make a pick. Either way, it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be educational. We love the draft. We know that you do. I think, Aiden, it is the draft. I think sports right now in America is ranked the NFL 1, college football 2, and I think it is a close third for draft before then we get to the NBA, baseball, and beyond.
I would agree. And I like those other things.
It's crazy. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you listen to everywhere you listen to podcasts. We are there and everywhere on social media. Birds vs. Boys Pod. We will see you one more time before the NFL draft, where we will give you our last bit of analysis and we will give you our final assumptions of who our teams are going to be picking in the first round until we go live on Thursday night.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year. This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.